move forward with this. Although I think the Jeff Coates have done a stellar job in making modifications that I think will be a beautiful development. I'm just worried about the traffic.
Any other questions to the?
I would like to make a couple of comments. Everybody understands we're in a period of growth, and it's coming, and it's already here. So this is really a symptom of growth, and you're going to see more of it. Our goal, our role as a council is to shape that growth. That's my opinion. And it is my estimation that for us to maintain the level of service as a city without raising taxes is somewhere between a 2 and 3% growth annually. So this is part of that, and it is our stated goal as a council and our administration for the city of Anderson to be one of the most, or excuse me, the most desirable place to live in the region. And the only way to achieve that is through growth. I do want to challenge the developer, Mr. Jeff Coates. I challenge you to build with quality materials and with creative architecture. And you've done a beautiful job in meeting my request of the layout and the development. You've met every request I've asked. And I want to speak one more point to the traffic issue. And this is something we can do as a city. We can offer up traffic control officers during those peak traffic hours, those school hours. So I would like to challenge our administration to check into that. Help open up those intersections and move that traffic.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're on Highway 81, if you're in Centerville, if you're in Greenville, you're in Charlotte, you're in Atlanta, you're in the middle of nowhere. If there's a school during those period of times, you're going to have traffic. And there's 200 cars lined up, as Mr. Newton knows, being in school administration, 200 cars lined up to pick up kids and turn around for 15 minutes and dump them out on the road. You're going to have traffic. And that's the situation out here.
That's all I have.
I was done, so I don't keep you standing there at the podium. Any other questions?
I was just going to follow. Not to.
I would ask one question before I turn it over, Mr. Of the two projects, would one have more as far as a priority, in your opinion? Is it?
They're really one.
When you start both of them at the same time?
The problem is, there's a couple different problems there, but one problem is that these two intersections are spaced closely together. So you can't really do one without the other. You could. Would it be wise from an engineering perspective? No. If you're going to fix one, you might as well fix the other. Because like I said, they're so close together, it's almost one intersection.
Gotcha.
And we're actually spacing them further out to alleviate that problem. That's a part of our plan.
Good.
Mr. Mayor, I have a clarifying question for Mr. York as well.
Go ahead.
How long is the right-of-way phase of the acquisition phase?
A typical right-of-way phase is usually about 1 year.
Okay, so 1 year. And we've already spoken with the developers to an agreement that can move that within weeks with DOT. So I certainly do not, you're not looking at a year for right-of-way acquisition. I know that's their standard template, but it's not accurate in this situation.
That makes sense. I mean, because the majority of the land is under ownership of
it's owned by the developers who've already had complex conversations with DOT multiple times throughout this for the last year regarding these projects and the design.
Good. I appreciate you coming down from Columbus. Thank you. Mr. Stewart?
No, I was just going to follow up on what Councilman Roberts was saying. I think Councilman Harvin, the one that brought up originally about using our officers to help direct traffic. I think that's a great idea. I think right now in front of Midway, we have one gentleman down there at one right going into the school, and the other one, another county officer down there. But once we annex this into the city, if we could get, some city officers at those intersections to flow that traffic at those four-way stops, I think that will help keep the traffic. I know it's a problem, but I think that would help keep the traffic moving instead of being stagnated and backed up. And again, all these houses are not going to be built at one time. I would probably think, I don't know, you tell me, this time next year is probably when we'll start looking at the first house being built, I would think, a year from now. Is that correct, Mr. Jeffco? And then it'll be kind of phased out. So, you in the first couple of years, you're probably gonna see 13, 14, 15 houses. I don't know how many, but you're not gonna see this whole subdivision built in 1 year. It's not like this traffic is just gonna come in and every house is going up overnight. And so, with that,
Any other comments? I have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Mr. Chapman opposes. Our second item of old business is first consideration of an ordinance to annex the zone to a PDD, approximately 203 acres located off the East River Street, Belton Highway. Mr. McEwen. Mr. McKenzie.
Sir, a moment.
Get my pen. Yep, good.
The applicant is requesting to annex the zone, the 203 acres located off East River Street, Belton Highway, PDD and Development District. And just to give you a vantage point of the property we're talking about, this is East River Street, going out of Mount Wood. This is the area we're talking about today. Plantation Road, all of that road is located to the east. Belton Woods Apartments over here. Belton Drive, followed by intersect across the road. But again, the applicant is requesting a money PDD Plan Development District, which again, you're very familiar with. The PDD document provides development details for a particular piece of property, and you have the draft PDD document in your package if you've had a chance to review. The proposal is to construct a maximum of 325 single-family detached homes or 600 single-family attached units in the entire development, and that all depends on market conditions and where things go with the market. Now, they do have a proposal where they could mix the two residential housing types, and if that's the case, a maximum of 150 single-family detached lots and 275 attached units would be allowed in the development of both would be constructed in this property. I told you a moment ago, it's the property. You have Butler Apartments, you have the Rocky River down below it, you have East River Street, Belton Highway. So you have a mixture of development types in the area. According to the PDD document, the single-family lot would be a minimum of 6,500 square feet, minimum width of 50 feet, and a single-family attached homes, the townhomes to be built, the document states that each unit will be on lots of at least 1,200 square feet with a maximum of 8 units per development plot. And you can see the setbacks that are proposed in there, 20 feet front, 7.5 per side, 10 foot rear lot. As you can see on the development, this is a conceptual plan. However, they're proposing 2 entrances, East River Street, and that 2 points of ingress and egress is supposed to be to remain regardless of how this develops in the end. And this concept plan that you have before you, again, is conceptual. It can change based on the PDD document, but this will give you a perspective that it shows 138 single-family detached houses and 267 townhome lots. And to go over some specific guidelines that are listed in the PDD document, you have a 50-foot exterior property line setback that will exist along River Street, a 50-foot undisturbed buffer, also required along the Rocky River flood zone. And there is a cemetery on the property I failed to mention a moment ago. They are proposing a 30-foot landscape buffer on that. That's outlined in the document. The cemetery is actually located up here in the corner. Land disturbing activities will be limited to areas necessary for and related to the construction improvements, such as buildings, streets, detention ponds. And that's to eliminate any clear cutting on the site. That also is included in the document. where we don't want to see someone come in and clear up the site, particularly the open space area. A minimum of 2 trees will be planted in a single-family detached lot, one of which will be in the front yard and planted close to the street, give you that street tree appearance. Break up, offer the urban image through there. They are proposing a sidewalk on one side of the streets to allow pedestrian movement throughout the development. Each single-family detached dwelling will have a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces, with at least 1 space being in the garage, 1 in the driveway. A minimum of 20 feet of separation will be provided from the sidewalk or the edge of the curb, so there will be no overhanging with vehicles onto the street. This is kind of a common piece of language we're inserting into the PD documents now. And in order to eliminate long stretches of single-family detached lots, open street or street intersections with radius of approximately 10 lot intervals are required. And also, across from the T intersections, they have written in that there will be undeveloped breaks of at least 20 feet wide to eliminate vehicle headlights from shining directly onto the houses. And a traffic impact study is currently being conducted, and that will be submitted to the DOT and to city staff for review. And any recommendations or mitigation items that result from that document will be considered by both DOT and the city. Of course, Belton Highway is a state road. This did go before Planning Commission on September the 7th. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this with a condition of several items that the staff brought forward to the Planning Commission. Most of the staff concerns have been addressed. A lot of it included increasing the minimum lot size to 6,500 square feet. They were initially proposing lot sizes a bit smaller than that, but based on our development trends and the evolution of our PDD documents, we requested that they go to a minimum of 6,500 square feet lots, which they did. Also, they added the language regarding the undeveloped space across the intersections. And also, we wanted some more clarification regarding if you do mix both uses, what would a total number of dwelling units? They put that into the document as well. One thing we did recommend adding was provide language creating a wider variety of lot sizes to create that lot diversity throughout, particularly when we're talking about the single-family lot. That's not necessarily included in the document, but the applicant did state that if they go with the mixed-use development concept of single-family residential detached and the townhomes, it would give you that lot diversity. Again, that's the recommendation of the Planning Commission. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Also, the applicants are here as well to answer anything that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. McKenzie. Questions, comments? Mr. Lockridge, then Mr. Chapman.
I noticed that there is an easement on the power line. The question I have now deals with the plantation pipeline. Plantation pipeline is in the corner over there next to Broadway Lake Road. Where is the pipeline from that running from and to the plantation pipeline? And does it go underneath or around any of these houses that are being planted?
Mr. Mayor and Council, if you're okay with it, I'll turn it over to the applicants. They can better address that, the engineer.
Yes, sir.
More details on that.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Brady Sanford. I'm the land acquisition manager for Liberty Communities, the applicant. My understanding of your question was the gas pipeline is your concern?
The plantation pipeline runs an oil pipeline, from what I gather.
Okay.
It provides oil from other places in the country to here and being shipped to Belton and places like that. And I don't see any place on here. There it is sitting in the center, and I don't see any place where it's showing where the pipeline is going.
Correct. So as this is a conceptual drawing in nature, we didn't know the exact direction and boundaries of the pipeline at this time. We haven't had the property fully surveyed, but we would certainly have that at the final site plan stage. At this point, we understand and cannot build homes over that pipeline. That's not even a physical possibility, so we will not do that. but prior to submitting to staff the final site plan, we will have that entirely demarcated once we have that conducted in the survey.
Do you have any idea of how much an easement there would be if there were a pipeline running under some of this sites?
I know there is definitively the pipeline. I don't know exactly how wide it is. I'm not sure that I've received the title work that shows the exact width. It would not surprise me if it was 50 or 100 feet. But either way, we will certainly plan around it in all cases.
Mr. Chapman?
My question is mainly for Mr. Maurice. And this is just for clarification, it's listed in old business, but it's our first reading. Is that because we talked about it prior?
Yes, that's common with the, do a referral.
Okay.
It was referred to you.
Okay.
Last month, whenever it was, that's what becomes old business.
Okay, and then my second question would be for Mr. McEwen, and I'll clarify this to make sure there's no misunderstanding. When it gets finalized on the plan, it will come back before council for our review prior to final approval, correct?
Per state law, planning and enabling act, the planning commission has that delegation of authority, so it just comes back for them for the concept or for the plat and then the final plat. That's their job under the state statute.
Okay.
To do that. Now, us sending out something to you is something you've asked us to do. We'll do that. As
Similar
far
to
as
what
it
we did
becoming-
with
Right.
with the previous project.
Right. Yes, sir. But as far as it becoming, answering your question, but coming before the public board, the city council in a public meeting, it goes back to the planning commission.
Just to make sure that we can review it, to make similar modifications if need be, so that we can have no misunderstanding about
Right, yes.
what our goals are.
It's now our practice to send that to you once we receive it and send it out to you guys for comments, improvements, and anything else you would like to provide to us.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I did see your hand, and I'll beat you up here in a second, okay? Any other questions or comments? Ms. Roberts?
I have several comments, maybe a couple of questions, but in general, I think that this PDD should be very similar to the one that we recently passed on Highway 29. Lot sizes, setbacks, et cetera. Currently, there's only one, just a minimum of 6,500 square feet. I think there needs to be at least a two-tier lot size and graduated setbacks. And I don't know that, and I'm speaking there for the detached units. On the attached units, I'm not sure that I either understand or am comfortable with those 8-unit buildings being put on the same 6,500 square foot lot. So I might even request a third tier for those attached units. I think there needs to be greater separation at those attached units. So I'd like more information on the attached units before I go to the second reading. Question, are these for sale or lease? Does anybody, are these units for
Did
sale
y'all hear
or
that?
lease?
Sale or lease?
Good evening, council members. Appreciate your time and everything. I'm Michael Kane with Seaman Whiteside, Civil Engineering, Landscape Architecture. We work with Liberty Communities through this. Appreciate you, Councilmember Roberts, for bringing that up. I will say the difference between the previous PUD and this one is we have a lot of topography. Us as a civil engineering landscape architecture firm, we're going to work a lot with the existing topography and utilize that. As you can see, the Rocky River is embedded into this site in some point. There is a lot of topography which we will look into once we get into development plans where we have to work with the grades and a good bit. So we are constrained a lot by the natural features on this site versus the PUD that was previously shown. It looked like they went to the extent of the property line. Here we came and developed maybe even 30% of the site because of the the existing conditions with the floodplain and everything as well. So to your point about lot size, what we did is we gave a range, and you can see there's not a lot of straight lines on this. I think on the single family side, we have kind of one main corridor, but from an accessibility standpoint, that's great that there's a straight shot, but we also incorporated green spaces. We have the street trees for soft streetscapes. There's a lot of this that's almost kind of being coming from the natural features on site, bringing back into the development. So it's kind of a unique development altogether, and we think it's going to be a great addition to the city of Anderson. The lot sizes themselves, we have cul-de-sacs, we have various, you can see almost fingers kind of jetting out on the plan, because those are areas where we see that development can happen before it kind of falls off into some of these draws and everything where the Rocky River comes into play. So we're trying to work a lot with the natural characteristic of the site. So I hear what you're saying on the various tiers, but I think we're so limited, and we try to work with a lot of the existing conditions, that we feel that 6,500 to maybe even 8,000 allows still these various lot sizes, while still adhering to what Liberty Community wants to bring to the city of Anderson. As far as even the townhome size, and just a clarification for you all council members, what's written in there is at max, it would be 8 units all together in one, but on the concept sketch, I think the most we have is a 6-pack in these various clusters. So just so there's clarification there as far as the actual townhomes themselves, but those can range because of just the unique dynamic varying type. So I'm happy to answer any other questions. We also have our civil engineer as well. So thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple questions for the council for clarification. So knowing that this conceptual design, what you have before you, their next step, if I'm not mistaken, if it moves forward, is they would spend a significant amount of engineering fees to develop the preliminary plat and then the plat. So for clarification again, is the council asking for to massage or to make changes to the conceptual and fine tune that to exactly what they're going to build now? Or are you, before they spend a lot of engineering costs on the preliminary plat, which you can still do between first and second reading here? Or are you asking specifically once they have the preliminary plat, which is what they're going to build, and submit to the planning commission, but they've spent a lot of engineering costs to see it then so that changes can be made? So I want to ask for that clarification.
I think a work session may be in order before they spend that money and time.
On the conceptual, correct? I'm in agreement.
And if I may add, I mean, even something as simple as maybe a 4 or 6, where we actually see a conceptual roof plan that shows how much of that it's taking up relative to the adjacent site, because that tells us a little bit about density. And then maybe the same thing on the phase 1 and 2 on the right side, that may be something that shows us where in position they feel like they've placed the homes, so we can know how they're going to relate to the actual road frontage and cars and a variety of things like that.
Yes, sir. So with that, I have a couple questions for the engineers. Hearing that, is there any way you can fine tune what you, I mean, I don't know what your timeline is on building, but can you fine tune what you're actually going to build into the conceptual, provide additional information for a council work session?
Hey, my name's Jordan Hammond. I'm with Liberty Communities. Thank you for taking the time tonight to consider this project with us. I guess I just want to point out a couple things that may be different from the site that y'all were looking at earlier. Y'all know more about these areas than I do for sure. East River, Belton Highway being a 5-lane highway. Also, you can see our surrounding land uses have already kind of established a precedent of density that we were trying to fall in line with. So we felt like we were more of an in-town feel as opposed to kind of out in the suburbs and the rural parts of the county and the city. Also, this may have been presented. I apologize if I didn't hear this part, but as far as there's a large sewer main that rolls. I don't know if y'all know the diameter of that sewer line offhand. It's a 30-inch sewer line. I don't know, is it a City of Anderson sewer line, or is it a different sewer provider?
City of Anderson.
Okay, I guess I'm just going back in time to when this sewer line was put in. To me, it seems clear that it was put in for purposes of density in this area. To have that large of a trunk line would imply to me that when that planning was done, it was meant to have density tapped into it. Candidly, I feel like our density proposal is rather slim compared to the amount of land and the amount of density that we could put. I'm here to answer to address your question, Councilman Roberts, about we would not have 8 townhomes on a 6,500 square foot lot. That's fair to say. I just want to make sure you.
Well, can you provide some clarification on that? Because that's the way it reads right now.
So each townhouse lot is 1,200 square feet. Times that by 8. What I'm getting at is in a block of building, when you see townhouses, the most you can put all together before there's a break is 8 units together. So you have 8 garages or 8 front doors before a break for fire code, drainage easement, whatever. Then it would be 8. But on the concept plan, you're just providing visually, we have 4s and 6s, 3s, 5s. I don't know if there's really a particular area where there's actually 8 proposed. There's just a maximum. Just so that way it wasn't this massive building itself everywhere on site. So it could vary between 4, 6, maybe even 8 at a time. So just each townhouse lot is 1,200 square feet.
So it could be.
Just so you all understand, I think it's oversimplistic to hang everything on density. I'm not afraid of density. I just want it done in the best way possible. The reason we're requesting tiered lot sizes and setbacks is to give that variation, so you don't just have a cookie-cutter row of houses or buildings just in a row right after one. Varying setbacks, varying lot sizes. So that's the purpose of that.
Yeah.
Just so you understand that. I would be a strong advocate for deceleration lanes, and I know that would come out of the impact study, traffic study. So I'm asking for more information, and I think we have a seat at that table on the traffic study, do we not? We have a say in that, right? Yeah. Well, I'm just advocating for that. It's right up front, so y'all know that. I'd like to see some more detail on connectivity, such as pathways and trails. You've got a beautiful wooded wetland, et cetera, and I'm all in favor of preserving that and making it accessible. I'm in favor of moving forward.
And question again, so Councilmember Roberts, Councilmember Chapman, in your expertise, as a civil engineer and architect, appreciate the input. Certainly has approved these different developments as we've been moving forward. Clarifying question from administration. Would you like to see those changes made by the engineer developer in the conceptual plan prior to second reading?
Yes, I would.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And I think the other question he had didn't get an answer. Are these going to be for sale or lease, rent, whatever?
The way we would do the subdivision is each individual townhome would have its own tax map number. That is our intent, just making sure that's how it would be recorded. Each individual townhome, each individual single-family home would have its own tax map number and be in fee simple deed. Our intent would be to sell those to end-user occupants.
One of just quick question. Liberty Communities, are y'all in a way affiliated with Liberty Properties, Haynes Hip group that he used to have out of Greenville, and y'all?
No, sir.
Okay, just curious, want to clarify that.
Anything else? Do we have our marching orders?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you to the council members.
Need a motion to
We need a motion.
move that we accept it on first reading?
Second.
Have a first by Mr. Roberts, Jeff Roberts, second by Mr. Chapman. Any further discussion?
And I guess there will be an upcoming work session before second reading.
Yes, sir. So we'll work with the developers and the engineer to refine what you asked for there and prepare refined conceptual plan to get out to you guys and have a work session as needed.
I will add that it is appreciative that we're developing an area that is, got a 5-lane highway already. Creates no traffic issues, so, thank you.
Darlene, for bringing that to very.
Good job.
You had a question?
There was a lady that had a question.
Yeah, I know, I got it. Anybody else? Good. Yes, ma'am, come on up. I want you to listen to everything before you talk.
Hi, my name is Colleen Kiefer, and I'm with the Climate Reality Project in Anderson. I emailed all of y'all in March to let you know about our local grassroots group. We've been successfully working with the county. We've helped the county create a conservation subdivision ordinance, and now we're helping them create a tree ordinance. And we felt like at the time that we wanted to reach out, let you know that we're here, but we also felt like they were our focus because Anderson County contains such more land than the city of Anderson. I'm now playing catch up. I'm just now realizing the property that happened, the other developers, and then this one as well, like today. So I'm a little bit behind. But that said, what we bring to the table is a reminder that when we grow 2 to 3% a year, we cannot just take into consideration traffic issues. We can't just take into consideration, housing. We have to see the big picture of what growth means for the people that live here. Why do people come here? They come here because the upstate is beautiful. We have lakes, we have forests, we have woods, we have wetlands, and this Rocky River is a gem that we have not even tapped into. What this can do for us, and what it can do, for quality of life, for recreation, for wildlife habitat. When we say that we're concerned about traffic, we also need to be concerned about what this does to our environment. We have a wetland right there. We're bringing in density homes. Are we, I quickly scanned through what was submitted. And I saw that there was a provision to eliminate clear cutting of the site. But that is really weak. I saw no requirements of what that actually meant. I also saw that if any, forgive me, I wrote it down, 24-inch diameter tree is cut down, it can be replaced by 2.5-inch diameter trees. One mature tree absorbs 11,000 gallons of water. And that is a day. And so we're going to replace this one mature tree with 2.5 diameter trees. It's just not sufficient. If we're going to grow, we also have to consider, when we create this amount of impervious surfaces, we're also creating major stormwater problems. We are, infiltrating our wetlands, our waterways with runoff. That's not quality of life. That's not smart growth. So I will say when I look at this, I do commend these builders for honoring the topography of the land, for looking at it, but I think that this site, especially because it is 200 acres of wooded land, demands an environmental impact study. It demands a tree survey. They should not be given the freedom to go in and cut down trees that are larger than 24 inches. There needs to be, honestly, a net loss of trees. And that might sound radical to you, but that is not radical. That's what many cities that grow quickly do. So you don't grow, because you can't go back. You can't go back and realize that you lost what was so important. And now I'm going to talk about the other property. I know y'all already approved that. And I wonder if I can put my, does it work to put my phone here? I went, no.
Does what work?
May I put my phone here to show a video? Does that work?
I'm not sure, nobody's ever asked that question.
I mean, it looks like it might not show very well. Well, that video is playing. It doesn't show well, but I walked the 19-acre parcel that's at Crestview and Midway. So when I hear y'all talk about a desire to maintain, and they created this story they told that they were saving like 19 acres, all this stuff. When I walked, what I saw was that they cleared the land right up to the very edge. And this, what you're seeing right now, is actually a ravine. There's a culvert there. It's dry. It's currently dry, but it obviously is for stormwater runoff. Why are there no requirements that prevents them from clearing right to, the edge? And it was all existing hardwood trees. And I took some photos of them. Most of them were larger than 24 inches.
Just
And they were on the border. They were out of the way of development.
That's not
Just
Chris,
for
that's not.
correction,
Yes.
this is not the property that we approved. This is
No.
the property across the street.
You're talking,
19 acres.
No, this is
No,
the property
we're talking about
across the
this.
street from what we've approved tonight. This was approved. Yeah, I agree, but it's not the, I just want to clarify, it's not the property
Okay.
that you're speaking of.
but go ahead and make your point. I mean, you're making
My
a point.
is,
Go ahead.
thank you. My point is that I would like to make sure we don't keep making mistakes like that. There was, that border of that property was all existing vegetation, existing trees, mature trees. So that's a mistake. There was not enough requirements in there, and there's no reason for a developer to actually go in and clear the borderline of the property except laziness, and it's easy and you're not requiring them to do anything different. And I will tell you, when I walked the property, someone that worked for the builder pulled up in his truck, and we started talking, and I was having a friendly conversation, and he basically said, you're too late. We already did it. And I thought, is that what we're gonna do? Is we're gonna look back, 10 years now and say, yeah, we're too late? Or are we gonna be proactive and thoughtful and intentional and actually plan smart growth for the city? And that means growth planning for traffic, that means growth planning for environmental impacts. So,
Well, I think probably, in a sense, you are somewhat speaking to the choir. I mean, we do not, but we don't disagree with anything that you're saying. There are limitations and there are things and where you have to compromise and meet in the middle. What did you say? You help the county do what? What's your role with the county? What have you done?
No, we are a local climate group. And
I'm sorry. I thought
Yeah.
I initially heard you say that you.
We-
Maybe I misheard you.
No, you did not mishear us. We supported the county in the development of their conservation subdivision.
Oh, okay.
And now, they've asked us to help them with a tree ordinance.
Well, I mean, it's very important. I mean, we struggle a lot with things like that. I mean, just to the group Upstate River, I mean, we've got to conserve our natural spaces, and we understand that. And we definitely appreciate you coming before us tonight with your organization to share your points of view.
Yeah, thank you so much. I look forward to working with y'all. We have about 40 people on our email group, and we have 3 in attendance tonight, and that's the last minute, hey, you guys, it's 5 o'clock. Can anybody go?
Oh, great. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're part of the group? Okay. Yes.
And this isn't to the developer, this is to y'all.
Tell us who you are.
I'm Scott Finley, I live in the city,
Okay.
we're on Beauregard. I'm wondering, I was looking at how many units are going into the first one tonight. What would happen if you gave a break, the state gave a break, and the federal government gave a break to this developer putting solar panels on every one of those houses that are built?
You mean
We
all?
have a problem coming up as far as energy.
Sure.
What's going on as far as our environment. And my thought is Anderson could really get up front and say to developers, yeah, we'll help you. You help the people. The people who buy your homes are going to get a great rate on energy. And have you all looked into what the federal government can do and what, I mean, because we have a president now who's looking at helping the environment. And this is one of the great ways of doing it. And I don't know how difficult it would be to put panels up there. We see the ads and it sounds like it's really easy and that you get a break coming back. Well, they won't do it if there's not a break. And that's what I'm trying to see is if there would be a break by the city of Anderson looking to the state or looking to the federal government to see how it could be done.
We're looking at that.
I will add, Mayor and Council, that while we're not the electric provider of the area, Duke Energy is, they have a very, very robust program on green energy, solar panels, and they have an entire division of that at Duke Energy. So I would refer the gentleman to Duke Energy for those questions.
And I think there are state breaks, state, local tax breaks for installing this.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also add that one of the other things you can do is, aside from solar, is to build an energy efficient home. And, you know, the Energy Star program has a great program to try to give reduced rates to the homeowners, as well as building an energy efficient home that costs less to run.
That's true.
That's probably an easier alternative than solar panels, because there's some sightly issues that you got reflective panels on top of a natural setting, and so there's other ways to approach the end result of a home that costs less to run.
In putting together, let's say, I don't know how many acres there were in the first one, if you gave an additional, let's say, 20 acres where it was all solar panels, it would not take away from the subdivision, but it would allow the generation of energy, less coal-powered energy that we could move away from.
Right. I wasn't trying to make a point. I was just saying there's other alternatives to get there.
And I hear that.
Thank you. There was a first and a second. Appreciate the comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We have a couple items of new business, 4 items exactly. The first two items are referrals, but request consideration of referral to the Planning Commission, a petition to annex and zone to PDD approximately 30.7 acres located at 601 Simpson Road and abutting 67.2 acre parcel from Old Williams Road south of Glenview Middle School.
And Mr. Mayor, before I yield to Mr. McKenzie, I do want to say, as you see, we're experiencing growth throughout the city, all around it. So is the county. In this particular instance, this is our preliminary receiving information. It's actually an extra step that's beyond what the Planning Enabling Act requires, which it would normally just go to the Planning Commission. To give you guys the ability to see the project, see that the information is coming forward, and to be referred to the Planning Commission. At that time, we will be receiving a conceptual design, which we will send out to the council, as well as it will be sent out to the Planning Commission as they consider this request and then it would be coming back to you for first reading after the review, comments, and the planning commission looks at it. With that, Mr. Mayor, if you're ready for Mr. McKenzie.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I was going to ask, both of these are just refer them to the planning commission. When we want to, just refer both of them together, we want to take them separately.
We'll take them, sir. Go ahead. Let's discuss it.
Okay, the applicant is requesting to annex approximately 98 acres, which consists of 2 parcels of land located at 601 Simpson Road, and then 67 acres at Old Williamson Road. This is Glenview Middle School. This is that large open area that's to the south of that property. The proposal includes plans to develop houses on the 67-acre parcel here, and multifamily units for 30 acres that has a Simpson Road frontage. They too are requesting a PDD plan development district zoning classification. So all those details are being created now. So those movements have been said are forthcoming to the planning commission and ultimately to you for consideration. Again, if you refer this tonight, it goes to the planning commission next week on October 5th.
Thank you. And basically, this is just an additional step.
Yes, sir.
That we're doing. I think that's a good move, considering that we are kind of revamping how we look at these projects. So I would entertain a motion to refer that to the planning commission.
So moved.
First by Dr. Thompson. Second by Mr. Lockridge. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The last one we have is request consideration of referral to the planning commission, a petition to rezone 218 Tribble, 508 and 520 Fair Street, and 1.98 acres located off Clinkscale Street from heavy industrial to general commercial.
And I'll provide some preliminary comments here as well. This area is an old industrial site. This area is being considered for revitalization. It's a very positive move in this area for revitalization and anchor to downtown. And we have an ongoing project regarding this area, which is prompting the rezoning. It's actually a downgrade and rezoning. And with that, Mr. McKenzie can describe that better.
Thank you. Not much more to add. The parcel you see here, there's actually several parcels, 4 or 5 parcels of land highlighted in blue that is currently zoned heavy industrial. They're requesting to zone that using general commercial. They're proposing a mixed-use development, residential with commercial element. This dotted line, is already zoned using the general commercial, but it goes with this shape of development. So this is requested for you to zone from HI, big industrial, using general commercial. The properties highlighted there, and this too will go to the planning commission on October 5th for consideration.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments?
My area
We have a first set, second by Mr. Harvey. All those in favor say aye.
Discussion? I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask a question.
Go right ahead.
Just wanted to clarify that this is going to come back before us to discuss possible modifications to the site.
Yes, sir. And it may not actually come back as soon as we're projecting because there's multiple discussions going on.
Okay.
And so as those develop, we'll bring that to your attention.
Thank you.
And I think that's the steps that we're going forward.
Yeah, I just
Always.
wanted to make sure.
Yeah, but we're doing it. Third item is request consideration of a resolution authorizing the appointment of a... Oh, got interrupted, Mr.
First and second, we have.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? It passes now. Thank you.
Sorry, normally Margaret, you asked me.
Well, it's going to planning commission.
I know,
Drew's
I
coming back to
just
us.
wanted to ask.
Coming back to us again. So,
It's his fault.
it's Tony's fault. You're going to do them all at the same time. Should've did. Our third is request consideration of a resolution authorizing the appointment of a commissioner and an alternate commissioner to the board at Anderson Regional Joint Water System. Mr. Kuhn.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is an administrative matter. As we've had a change of personnel of our utilities director, we recently hired Mr. Scott Banks, who's present tonight. He's an engineer, has over 30 years experience in the utility industry. He has previously served on this Anderson Regional Water Commission, which is our partner utility, where they treat the water, we wholesale purchase the water and distribute it out through our system. And so we're the largest member of the Anderson Regional Water Authority, with some 30% membership as far as the ownership and capacity at the plant. And you have a commissioner, you have an alternate commissioner. So typically, the city manager has served an alternate commissioner, which I've been doing, and we have our utility director service commissioner. It's difficult for me to make all the meetings, the committee meetings, and so forth, and then having the expertise. Putting Mr. Banks there is a great spot for him. Adding the expertise to that commission adds a lot of value, adds a lot of great representation for us. He's been, like I said, he previously served on the commission, but he was a non-voting member because he served on behalf of Clemson University, and per state law, they cannot be a voting member in Anderson Regional. But at this time, requesting him be appointed to commissioner, and again, it's just reiterates myself as alternate commissioner.
Makes sense.
Is this clear? Oh, so you're already an alternate commissioner, so why would we have to reappoint? What are we doing? Your commission expired?
No, sir, it doesn't expire. We talked about separating it out, but it's just been the template of the city for since we've been a member, just to keep it together. So, again, it doesn't expire or anything like that. So, still alternate commissioner.
So we don't really need to approve you for an alternate commissioner, do we?
No, it's really just approving, it just got combined together, approving Mr. Banks as commissioner, and I'm already alternate commissioner, so it's just reaffirming that, but it's not a expiration of term or anything like that.
It's kind of a vote of confidence.
Did you, Scott, stand up. We keep wondering who the heck
Who the heck is Mr. Banks? There he is.
You know, we got to get used to your face here. You're the last guy standing, so it had to be you.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution.
Thank you.
Second.
First by Mr. Newton, second by Mr. Harvey. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Last item of new business is request consideration of an ordinance to amend Chapter 70, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Anderson, to provide for the issuance of ticketing permits and to provide for a prohibition of the open carry of firearms during pickets and other permitted events on public property. Ms. McHugh.
Your city attorney, the Honorable Frankie McLean, will present this item to you, but it's been prepared as a result of changes in state law, and it's consistent with other cities in the state that are also making these changes to their code. Mr. McLean.
This is a result, we discussed earlier, the open carry statute was passed recently in effect August 15th, which requires certain changes in the sign. You may have seen changes in our signs in our building. We've already done. Comply with that law. It also provides that we can prohibit open carry and the carry of weapons during parades and weapons, and this one is picked. Prior to this, we didn't have a specific ticketing ordinance, although we had a permit that pretty much required some of the same things this ordinance does. This sort of solidifies our ability to do that. Charleston passed it first, and Greenville passed it. I've been talking with the Greenville attorney, and we basically copied those two statutes to get to this one that mirrors that. Columbia recently also passed a similar statute, which allows us to prohibit open carry and carry of any weapons during a parade or any sort of picketing event or any function happening on the city streets temporarily. It requires the same type of signs that we have now. But that's basically what this does. It replaces our other ordinance and updates our ordinance to provide for what it does. And
Yes, sir. Questions?
Those
ticketed events or parades, those are permitted through the city office. So we'll know when those events occur.
So these ordinances, as updated, it provides for the city manager just because the authority invested from y'all's appointment to me through state statute. However, the police department has an excellent way in administering the ordinance, and so they will continue to. I've asked them, and it allows me to delegate that authority to the police chief for administration. So that's what we'll be doing, is continuing having the police department administer that for us.
But for just spontaneous gatherings that may occur, that doesn't apply.
Right. It actually has a table in here. If you dig down deep, it talks about
The certain thing like
actually on the last
3 hours prior to
the very last page.
Yeah.
If you go to it, it talks about group size. And so 11 to 50, if it's going to be on a sidewalk, 3 hours advance notice, and then has a table there that goes down through there asking for a notice.
So basically, like Christmas parade, people gonna be allowed to line up down the street with firearms, yes or no? Is that
No, sir. No, sir. Yeah, so that's an event that's actually planned 9 months ahead of time. A permanent event actually sponsored by the city of Anderson. And so that would fall under this ordinance, and it would be prohibited to have concealed or open carry weapons along with other weapons such as knives and stuff.
And anything like what Kerry Jones does with the sounds, would that?
Yes, sir.
Would that be allowed or not allowed?
Not allowed, all permanent events. That's a permanent event, so not allowed.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
one of the questions I had was, the municipal association, had an article in here, and it said that we had the South Carolina Code section says that we have to have a 36 by 48 inch tall sign that's going to be posted. Now, is that going to be the responsibility of the event person,
the
or is
responsibility of the permittee.
so? And then we'll have our own.
We should have our own signs when we have our event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we could rent those out.
We've already done ours.
But I mean, it'd be so that they all comply. And
Sure,
they're very.
We could do that.
They're extremely specific about the letter size, the diameter of the
96
circle,
inches high.
the 45-degree angle. I mean, it's so specific. It's
So how would you post your signs up and down Main Street for a Christmas parade? Where would you post them at? You know?
Yeah, so we generally, how we kind of use those tent signs or the A-frame signs and for parking and special events and things like that. So we would make a sign similar to that, and you would have it throughout the event area.
So what would that sign say?
It's very specific language, so I can't quote it off the top of my head.
Once we have it, it says no open carry, no concealable weapon.
Okay. Can I ask a question? What if you had, one of these things just popped up without them getting permission from the police and just popped up all of a sudden? Would all of the people that would be there, would they be in violation of a ticketing?
It's a good question. We can make judgment decisions on that. The chief of police and I would be there, and also be in contact with Frankie, our city attorney. But we can, there's different things from accommodating them depending on what the certain situation is, and respond to that, and that's what we would want to do, is accommodate their right to free speech. Certainly is and protect that. Even if this wasn't necessarily given. Now, however, if it was a large grouping and it was a disruption to traffic or causing a issue as far as our ability to provide public safety, it could be declared an unlawful assembly that's not permitted, and we could ask them to leave the area and schedule it another time.
And if they didn't?
That would be at the direction and the order of the police. So if they didn't comply, it would be like any other violation. And it's up to them as far as their actions.
Any other questions?
We need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion
First by Ms. Horgan,
Second.
second by Mr. Lockley. Further discussion? Did you have something? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It passes unanimously. Anything else that you want to mention? Ms. Nick?
Mentioned it to you briefly, I mentioned it to David. I gave everybody tickets. I'd love for you to be my contestant, something I've kind of wanted to do for several years now. Kind of a joint thing with the city and county and support law enforcement. I've talked to the chief a little bit about it, the sheriff about it. October the 16th, we're going to do a barbecue fundraiser. All the money's going to go to the APD Foundation and the Sheriff's Foundation. John Wright Jr., who's on county council, represents the same area that I do and then some. And we both represent the Civic Center. We're paying for all the food, paying for all the incidentals. Any money that we raise is going to go to the respective foundations. Again, love to have you as a guest, and you all to show up that day. And Clemson plays that Friday night, so they're not playing that afternoon, so that's one of the reasons it's scheduled that day. So you come by, pick it up, take it home, or we can hang out and eat. So whatever y'all like to do. So, thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
With that, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
We have one more thing.
Sorry.
Second.
Mr. Strickland just want to provide some additional information about a project work.
So this was an appropriate meeting to mention this. You recall in your, in the budget this year, council did provide for some funding for the complete rehaul of our comprehensive plan for the citywide comprehensive plan. And you'll recall at our work session earlier this year, our council retreat, that was a priority to help address this growth of the state. So just want to let you guys know that the advertisement, RFQ advertisement, is on our website and it's available actually nationwide. We have it on the planning, the American Planning Association website. So that's on the street, and you'll obviously hear a lot more about that as we move forward.
Good news?
Very good.
That's great. We had a first and a second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned. It was Kyle and